Hey y'all, Unbreakable here. You can hear how sick I am, right? But as I always say, I am always real, raw, open, and honest. And that includes the fact that life happens and sick happens. So I'm online right now. And if you want to chat and interact, just go ahead and comment, and I will address your comments. I don't know if you had the opportunity to catch the live last night with one of our survivors, Cassidy. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. Something that I wanted to chat about, and again, I am on live and interacting with comments, so please comment any questions, comments, things you want to chat about, and we'll discuss those. But one of the things that Cassidy and I were talking about last night was along the lines of how these abusers, how these narcissists just chip away at us. You know, we're all raised a certain way, different for everyone, but we're all raised with, family morals and family values and our belief systems and, our attitudes and our opinions and our behaviors. Like we're all raised in a particular way. And it's all different. And there's nothing wrong with one over the other. But as an adult, we kind of feel like, okay, I know who I am. I know who I am. Unbreakable. You have very high morals. You're kind, you're caring, you're compassionate. You do for others. You care about others. You have particular likes. You have particular dislikes. And then we go into these relationships with these abusers, with these narcissists, and they start chipping away. They start chipping away at who we are and what we believe. They start telling us that our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions and our belief systems and our values and our morals, they start telling us that they're all wrong. And they know better. And they're only sharing it with us because they love us. And they just want us to be the best that we can be, right? I had a certain kind of music that I listened to, and I enjoyed my music. That's what I liked. But very meticulously, the abuser started chipping away at that. Start telling me that the kind of music that I listen to is wrong. And I should be listening to this kind of music. It's very slow, it's very methodical. And it starts so frequently off of the most minute things, right? So we miss it. We don't see it. We don't recognize it. We miss the fact that something's not right here. And Cassidy talked about it last night that she didn't even realize that these things were going on. And I know for me, it got to the extent that when I got out of that abusive relationship, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I believed in. I didn't know what my morals were. I didn't know what my values were. I didn't have opinions because God forbid if they were wrong. They just chip away at who we are. I talked about it last night. I see on the page here so many people saying, I just want to go back to who I was before them. But as I said last night, I'd never have wanted to go back to who I was before them. Because I can see now that who I was before them was insecure. Didn't believe that I had value, didn't believe that I had worth, didn't believe that I deserved to be treated well. I believed that whatever crumbs anyone threw my way, That's all I deserve. Unbreakable, that's all you deserve. So you should be grateful. It's like a starving person. I've heard this said, and I've said it before. We're starving. We're starving for attention. We're starving for acceptance. We're starving for love. We're starving for validation. We are starving. And that's where that breadcrumbing term really relates, because they just throw those little bits of breadcrumbs. And as a starving person, oh God, that's so good. That's so filling. They're crumbs. Oh, that's so filling. I said, I feel so much better. I feel so full and fulfilled. And I feel like I have value now because they're throwing these crumbs at me. It took me a long time to acknowledge that I didn't want to go back to who I was before, because I have more value than that. I know that now. I didn't know that then. I've said it before. I can sit up here. Y'all know I am real, raw, open, and honest, and I speak nothing but the truth. And even if that means that somebody's going to look at me and be like, ew, I don't care. Before them, I hated myself. Hated myself. Oh God, I couldn't stand to see pictures of myself. I couldn't stand looking in the mirror. I couldn't stand the sound of my voice. I hated my hair. There was nothing about me that I liked, let alone loved. That's not somebody I want to go back to. It took a lot of healing, a lot of time, a lot of effort. As I said, I'm very sick. Took a lot of time, a lot of effort to fall in love with myself. Even before that, to even just accept myself. And so when I hear people say, I want to go back to who I was before them, do you really? Have you had that hard conversation with yourself? Have you actually gone back and looked at who you were before them? Is that who you want to go back to? That's not who I want to go back to. I can only speak for myself. I don't ever want to go back to who that person was. On my personal page, we collect photos and family events, all these different things. And there was a photo on my personal page of when my daughter graduated from high school. And my daughter's 33 now. And I look at that picture and I compare that to now, even like right this very moment, sick, no makeup and all. I look younger now than I did 15, whatever, how many years ago. I don't know. You do the math. I don't know. I look younger now than I did when my daughter graduated from high school. I was in that abusive relationship. They talk about the glow up. Holy cow, have I gone through a glow up. It's so important to be able to look back on our past and see the transformation of our healing journey. It's so important to be able to validate just how far we've come. It's so important to hear ourselves and our thought processes and our beliefs. It's so important to be able to compare the then to the now. And so I can tell you, I go back often and watch older videos of me. I go back often and see, Unbreakable, what were you feeling at that time? What were you thinking at that time? What did you know at that time? What did you still not know or understand at that time? It's important to give yourself that validation. It's important to give yourself that measurement so that you can keep going. As I said, I am on live right now, so let's look at some comments. Anna said, my husband was accusing me and my 18-year-old son of having an affair. What kind of person thinks that? A sick one. And Anna, it's not even about that they're sick. It's a form of control and manipulation. Think of it that way. It's not the act of, what they are accusing you of. It's a form of getting you to doubt yourself. It's a form of picking away, chipping away at you so that they can have some sort of control. Sophie says hi from Australia. Hi, Sophie. It's good to see you. Joey said, so true. Hey, Joe. Alita says, stay away from narcissists. There are always many people who have not survived with a narcissist. You are absolutely correct, Alita. But the problem is, and I think we can all attest to the same thing, we don't realize they're narcissists in the beginning. We think they are our Prince Charming, Princess Charming. We think they are the best thing since sliced bread because that's what they manipulate us to believe. We don't see it because they hide it in the beginning. And they're so good at hiding it. And they feed us those breadcrumbs. They feed us those little bits of attention and affection and love and validation and encouragement. We don't know. Alita said, never lose yourself. Ooh, honey, I agree with you, but I'll bet you know how hard that is. I talked about it last night. I've talked about it before. I'm a documentary junkie. Love documentaries, every single kind of documentary. And I watched one recently on cults. And I remember in the past thinking, I would never fall for that. How do these people, like, what is wrong with these people that they get caught up in cults? Now I get it. Because as I said, it's slow, it's methodical, it's just bit by bit by bit that they feed us so that we become hooked. We become addicted. They are the center of our world and everything they say is right. And if they say that we're wrong, well, then there must be something wrong with me. So I need to look at what's wrong with me. It's sick. It's sick. Natalie says, good morning. Good morning, sweetheart. I agree. Validation is so helpful. Having others listen and hear our stories helps us move forward. When a narcissist lets their mask slip, it's so eye-opening. Honey, I agree. It is eye-opening. But I know for me, I was so caught in that relationship that I still, for so long, believed that it was my fault. I still believed what I was told. There's something wrong with me. I'm the one who's causing all of the problems in the world. We don't have world peace because it's Unbreakable's fault. I mean, it is ludicrous what they put on us. It is ludicrous what we get blamed for. It is ludicrous. Oh my gosh, what they come up with. It's ludicrous. Good morning, Dana. Yeah, Alita. I know a few narcissists in my life. They're not in my life anymore. Good morning, Tina. For a long time when I got out, gosh, I was so hard on myself. Oh gosh, I talk about zero self-esteem. Already started with zero self-esteem before I got into the relationship. And then when I got out of the relationship, having not understood that what I had just gone through was abuse, oh, good God, could you imagine where my brain was, where my heart was, where my value was, where my self-esteem was? The gutter would be an upgrade. The gutter would be an upgrade on how I felt about myself because I believed all of it because I was in that cult. I was in that Stockholm syndrome where it was all my fault. Oh, Unbreakable, if you just would have done this, or if you just wouldn't have done that, if you had just acted this way, behaved that way, if you just said the right thing, if you hadn't said the wrong thing. It's crazy making. It's crazy making. And we're ashamed. We're ashamed when we get out. My shame was, why did I stay so long? My shame was, why didn't I see it? Unbreakable, it was staring you in the face and you missed it. I had such shame over who I was, what I believed, what I had gone through. I didn't want anybody to know. See, we talk about a narcissist's mask a lot, but I wore a mask. God, I wore a mask. I had many. These are one of those hard conversations that we have to have with ourselves. These are those situations that we have to take ownership in. And it's not as though we're at fault or we're wrong, but it's like I have to take ownership of the fact that Unbreakable, you wore a mask the entire time too. I always had a mask on. Always had a mask on because what would people think? What would people think if they knew what I tolerated? What would people think if they knew what I went through? What would people think? What would people, oh Lord, I know I'm wrong. I know it was all my fault. I know everything in the world is wrong with me. I don't want others to know that. I believe what the abuser said. I believe what the narcissist said. I don't want others to, I don't want them to know what's wrong with me. Not understanding that in reality, there really wasn't anything wrong with me. But we believe it. And so we hide in shame. We hide in fear of what if people really find out who I am? I remember one. What if people found out that I struggled with my depression so bad that I would lock myself in the house and for 3 days wouldn't even brush my teeth, let alone take a shower? Like, what would people think of me? It's depression, Unbreakable. That's that happens. That's like normal. But I was so afraid of people finding that out. This is what I was conditioned to believe. I didn't talk about the sexual abuse for a long time because what would people think? Unbreakable, why didn't you just say no? Or Unbreakable, you were married, so you had an obligation to give this person exactly what they wanted, when they wanted it, and if you didn't give it to them, that's your own fault. Unbreakable, why didn't you say no? Okay, let's talk about, first of all, how do you say no when you're married? Like, that's not thought of as acceptable. How do you say no? You can't say no. How do you say no when you're married? I said no all the time. All the time. My no was not heard. My no was not respected. And oftentimes I wouldn't say it because I knew if I don't do this, there's more punishment on the horizon. If I don't do this, I'll suffer the repercussions. If I don't do this, I'm a bad wife. It's my obligation as a wife. That's what society tells me. I said no repeatedly. You know you like this. You know you want this. If I could put up my middle finger right now, I would. I didn't want it, but I had to agree with those statements. Say it. Say it. You know you like this. You know you want this. Say it. If I don't say it, I know there's going to be punishment. I was ashamed to admit those things because I believed that it was all my fault. I believed that there was something wrong with me because that's what they told me. There's so much shame in the abusive relationship, and oh God, compounded by when we get out. There's so much shame. Try not to get emotional. I'm already sick and stuffy. I don't need to be crying and have my nose start running even more. Let's go to some comments. Anna says, I am divorced for a while. Met a wonderful man God send. Helped me heal so much. I'm still scared I'm not good enough and that anything that goes wrong will be my fault because I am still not good enough. Oh, sweetheart. Anna. Anna, I am 6 years out. 6 years, January 5th. And I still, to this day, here comes real, raw, open, and honest. I still, to this day, have moments where I feel like I'm not good enough. I still, to this day, have moments where I feel like I'm not doing enough. I'm not behaving the way that I should. I'm not making the choices that I should. I'm not believing the things that I should. I'm not doing what everyone else thinks I should be doing or saying what they think I should be saying. I still have those moments. And y'all see me on here, and I am as honest as they come. And so when I tell you that I'm still struggling, I'm still struggling. And I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'm not ashamed to sit up here and say, I had court recently. I posted that on the page. I had court recently, and that was the first time I had seen the monster in I don't know how long. And, court ended the way that it did. I shut it down. I don't want to deal with it anymore. But I'm not ashamed to say that they were back renting space in my head, ruminating thoughts. I'm not ashamed to say I wanted to talk to them again because maybe now that court is done, maybe now that our child is grown and graduated, maybe now that there's nothing left to fight over, maybe now that there's no more money to be exchanged for child support, maybe now they'll admit it. Maybe now he will finally say, I'm sorry. Maybe now he will finally say, I did do all those things. Maybe now that there's no chance of me holding anything up in court as evidence, maybe now he'll acknowledge it. Maybe now he'll tell me you were always enough. Maybe now he'll tell me, I always loved you. I'm just the messed up one. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'm not ashamed to admit it at all. So much shame. Gosh. And I get it, y'all. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with you for feeling this way. It is normal. Let's go back to comments. Natalie, I'm so sorry you're an inspiration. My parents were my narcissists. That's where mine began too, Natalie. They had me feeling like I was the one wrong thing in my childhood home. Yep. I felt defective as they abused me. I saw through them and I couldn't get away until I grew up. My parents were actors in public. No one knew. Oh, Natalie, I'm with you. Girl, you're speaking my story. Isn't that the ironic thing? Natalie, I don't know you. I don't know where you live. I don't know how old you are. I don't know your background. I don't know anything about you. You are simply here commenting, watching me talk. But Natalie, our stories are all the same. As I said last night, there's different nuances, there's different angles, there's different, you know, ways that it happened and timelines that it followed, but our stories are all the same. Natalie, I feel you, girl. Gigi, 10 years out and I feel the same. Oh, sweetie, keep going. We got somebody spamming on here. Quinn, you'll be gone soon enough. Karen, my love, good morning to you too, beautiful. Natalie, thank you, Unbreakable. It's beautifully affirming from you and all of us. We deserved better. We've always deserved better. Who we have always deserved better. We just didn't know what better was. We didn't know how to recognize better. Because that's not what we were taught, right, Natalie? We had no example. We had no example. All our lives, let's make it really simplistic here for people who can't understand. We go to school, right? We all go to school. We go through elementary school, junior high, high school. Some of us go on to college. We're always in trainings at work. Like there's always things that we're learning, right? For those who can't understand, many of us spent our lives being told that 1 + 1 = 3. 1 + 1 = 3. That's what we were told. The example that I always use is I was always told the sky is purple. Unbreakable, the sky is purple. What's wrong with you? Like, can't you see it? You need to go have your eyes checked because everybody knows that the sky is purple. Like, are you crazy? Oh God, did they call us crazy? Are you crazy, Unbreakable? The sky is purple. And so we believe that the sky is purple. And so we believe that there's something wrong with us. There's something wrong with my eyes. I need to go to the eye doctor because I can't see. And everybody else, he's telling me everybody else sees that the sky is purple. Imagine spending your entire life like that from childhood on. You don't know what the truth is. You believe what you're taught. You believe what you're told. You believed what you're conditioned to. You believed what is pounded and pounded and pounded in your head. So, especially starting from a young age, being told that we have no value and we have no worth, it's what we believe. That's all we know. So, how is it hard to believe that we end up in these abusive relationships? And how is it hard to believe that we can't just leave? That's all we know. This relationship is validating the fact that the sky is purple. Well, this must be the right relationship for me because they're telling me the sky is purple. My first abusers, my parental figures, taught me the sky was purple. Why wouldn't I end up with somebody who told me the same thing? The sky is purple. People don't understand how we get caught in these relationships. That's oftentimes why. So many of us struggled with childhood trauma, childhood abuse. So many of us had that. That's the only example that we were taught. It's like being taught how to speak one language when you're born. That's all we speak. That's all we speak. That's all we know. And you can't sit up here and tell me that what I learned as a child has anything to do with it being my fault. You can't sit up here and tell me that I'm wrong for not leaving the relationship when I saw the red flags. I didn't know anything but red flags. I didn't know there was anything else that existed. That was my world. That's how I was raised. We can't just leave. I posted a reel on the page this morning. I want to come together and have a recorded roundtable and talk about just that. Why didn't you just leave? I would love for people to understand. I would love for people to understand that that's not always possible. Oftentimes, it's not physically possible. Oftentimes, it's not safe to just leave. Thank you, Natalie. It's crazy to me sometimes just how similar our stories are. I will never be one to say that my story is worse than yours or your story is worse than mine. I will never be that person. Everybody has their story, and everybody's story is valid, and everybody's story is horrible. I don't care if they never laid a hand on you. I don't care if they were so covert that you even question, was that really abuse? I don't care. I get it. It's crazy how similar our stories are. No matter who it was that we experienced it with, whether it be a romantic partner, whether it be a family, or whether it be family, whether it be a friend, whether it be it doesn't matter, whether it be a coworker or a boss, it doesn't matter. Domestic violence, narcissism, colorblind, sexual orientation blind, race blind, religion blind, gender blind, location blind, demographic blind. It is all blind. Our stories are so similar. Yes, this is live, which means I need to go grab some tissue because my cold is making my run, my nose red. Hold, please. I told you, real, raw, open, and honest. And again, the honest thing is, Unbreakable is so sick right now. Allison said, thank you, Natalie. You are amazing too. We all have strength inside us. It's hard to see it. I remind people who have survived 100% of your worst days. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, yes. But we don't give ourselves credit for that, right? We are so hard on ourselves. We are so hypercritical of ourselves. Ugh. We are picked apart so often that we learn and we master the art of picking our own selves apart, right? Right, Allison? We don't give ourselves the credit that we deserve. Oftentimes we just don't know how. We've never had that example. And it's hard, especially if our abuser, especially when our abuser was a romantic partner, it's hard to recognize healthy, even when it's staring us in the face. It's hard. Something that I haven't shared on the page is that I actually am in a relationship for almost 3 years now. The most amazing human being in the world. And trusting this person was hard after everything I had been through. It's like, are they telling me the truth all the time? Can I trust myself? Okay, let's just go to that. Let's just talk about that. Morning coffee with Unbreakable. Let's talk about that. Yes, I love my Alcatraz cup. Yes, I do. This is real, y'all. This is live. And you probably just heard my cat scratching my couch in the background. And normally I would yell at her. Let's talk about how we don't know how to even trust ourselves. We don't know how to even trust our own judgment. We don't know how to trust our own mind. We don't know how to trust our own thoughts. We don't know how to trust ourselves because 1 + 1 = 3 and the sky is purple, right? That's all I know. All I knew was that Unbreakable was of no value, was worthless, was ugly, was fat, was unacceptable, said the wrong things, did the wrong things, had the wrong thoughts. And so when that cult has embedded itself in our brain, we don't know how to trust our own thoughts. We don't know how to say, okay, Unbreakable, you're feeling scared. Something about this particular situation doesn't feel right. We don't know how to trust that. And so even after we get out, we will oftentimes find ourselves right back in a situation or a relationship with another abuser or another narcissist. Trusting myself was one of the hardest things that I've had to overcome, and I'm not done. I still struggle from time to time on trusting myself. My therapist always asks me, when we're having a session and maybe my emotions are going up or I'm having a flashback or memory, and this is a hard one still for me. She always asks me, where are you feeling it? Like physically, where are you feeling it? Because she wants me to identify where in the body am I feeling it so that I can then recognize and become familiar with, oh, that's just that feeling. I think a lot of us struggle with anxiety, right? I think a lot of us know how anxiety, the alarm went off. I think a lot of us struggle with anxiety, but we oftentimes don't find that trust within ourselves to identify that, okay, I'm feeling anxious. Here's why I'm feeling anxious. Here's what triggered that. Here's what's causing that. I didn't know how to identify that. And I didn't know how to trust it. My maladaptive coping skill when my anxiety was high was I would shut down. Don't talk to anybody, don't see anybody, don't leave the house, don't pick up the phone, don't just shut down. 1, because I feel unsafe. 2, because God forbid they see that this is what I'm going through. God forbid anybody see how weak I am. Alice has said, you are so right. I've cut many people out of my life. To look after yourself first has been a long journey. Whew. Allison, I talked about it last night. I think innately, we are helpers at heart. I think most people who have such a high level of empathy are. But for me, I always put everybody else first. Yes, I can help. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I'm here for you. Yes, I will listen. Yes, I will validate. To the extent that it was jeopardizing me, my mental health, my place on my journey, like it was jeopardizing me. It's called boundaries. That's a new word that I learned since getting out. Holy freaking cow. I got out 6 years ago, which means I'm old. I just turned 55. So that means I was 49 when I got out. Some 50, somewhere around there. 6 years, January 5th. I didn't know what boundaries meant. I'm a football girl. That's the only boundaries I knew. They went out of bounds. They went out of bounds. That's the only, I kid you not, and I am not ashamed to say that. That is the only thing about boundaries that I knew was football. And then recognizing and understanding, like truly understanding what boundaries are, I didn't know that part of those boundaries could be that I can say no. What do you mean I can say no? I'm a people pleaser. I can't say no. Alita said it. People pleaser. Exactly. We're people pleasers. Who? So learning how to say no, learning how to trust that that's in my best interest to say no, learning how to trust that it's okay. If I don't want to do that, I don't want to do that. And if somebody has a problem with that, that's their problem. And I hear people say it on the page so often. I'm sick. I hear people say it on the page so often that, yeah, this is live. I lost my train of thought. Um, let's go to comments. Y'all, I forget everything every 3 minutes. Allison said, it's because we don't want others to feel alone like we did. Oh, Allison, that is the most truthful statement there is. Oh, if you did not watch the live last night with Cassidy, she talked about that. And that's one of the tactics that abusers and narcissists use is, oh God, I can remember the monster telling me, no one's ever loved me like you do. The monster telling me, I'm trying to get you pregnant so you can never leave me. Everybody leaves me. And unfortunately, a lot of times, those are situations that we've all already ourselves personally experienced, and we don't want anyone to feel that way, right? Right, Allison? We don't want anyone to feel the pain of that because we know what that feels like. And it's devastating. And I don't want to be the person who inflicts that pain on you. So I'm not gonna leave. They play on that. Allison still takes an overtime when I should say no. I hear you, sweetie. I hear you. There's a lot of things that we will agree to, even when we don't want to, because that's all we know. Because we just want to be accepted. We just want to be loved. We just want to be valued. So we still, especially after we get out, we are still in that people pleasing mode. We still want people to like us. And I'm not accusing any of us or saying to any of us that what's wrong with you for being that way. Because all we know is 1 + 1 = 3 and that the sky is purple. We only speak one language. And when you only speak the language of trauma, it's hard to say no. When you only speak the language of manipulation, oh, it is so hard to say no. It is so hard to set and maintain boundaries. I told Cassidy last night after we got off live, we chatted for a little while longer, and I've said it before. When you start to heal, when you start to find your value, when you start to find your worth, when you start to accept that you are enough right here, right now, exactly as you are, flaws and all, when that finally starts to set in, there's one of two things that are going to happen. Just one of two. One, the people around you are going to change. Or two, the people around you are going to change. I know that sounds so simple, right? It's never, I hope this is not true, but I feel like it's never going to be easy to set and maintain boundaries consistently. But the more we practice that and fine tune that skill, the easier it does become. The more we put ourselves first, the easier it does become. The more that we learn, you know what? I do deserve this. The more that we learn, no one has a right to mistreat me, the easier it becomes to set and maintain boundaries. I will never, ever lie and say, healing is easy. I'm sorry, I find that funny. And there are people out there who think just when you get out, you're all better. I'm all better now. It made you stronger. Well, you should feel better. Why are you still harping on it? Because you're out now. Healing is not easy. Healing sucks. Healing effing sucks. And healing is lifelong. There's no end point. There's no finish line. And let me tell you, I struggle with that sometimes too, because like I just want to be done. I just want to be done. I want to be done with this. I want to be done healing. There is no done. And that's a hard one to accept. That's a whole nother conversation. But the more you get into it, the more you dive deep, the more you learn how to give yourself, your own self, compassion and love and care and respect, the easier it becomes to set and maintain boundaries. The easier it becomes to say no. Healing sucks, y'all. Ooh, Allison said it. Realizations of knowing, although I didn't create these things, I allowed them to continue because of lack of boundaries. Yes, sweetheart. Yes. Talk about the guilt and the shame, right? We felt such shame because we allowed these things to happen. I allowed myself to be sexually assaulted and end up in the emergency room with emergency surgery to repair down there what somebody had done. I allowed that. We hold such shame. God, and shame, I think so often shame is what keeps us in those relationships. Fear, but a lot of shame too. See you later. I love your screen name. See you later said, I'm sharing this conversation because it's incredibly helpful. So many of us feel alone. Keeping those secrets hurt and freeing them hurts. So I work a full-time job. And between me and my honey, collectively, we have 6 businesses. And out of all of that time, Unbreakable is the most important to me. Excuse me, out of all of those businesses and work and all of that, Unbreakable is the most important to me. And it's for that reason exactly. See you later. I love your screen name. See you later. It's for that reason exactly. Because I felt so alone. Oh, God. I feel like I'll cry if I think about how alone I felt. I felt so alone when I got out. After I got out, I think I've talked about it before, but after I got out, I admitted myself into the psychiatric hospital on an outpatient program, 3 nights a week, 3 hours a night, because I thought I was crazy. I thought, what's wrong with me? So I literally self uh, admitted myself into a psychiatric hospital in their outpatient program. Amazing program. And it helped me recognize that there wasn't anything wrong with me. I had stuff I had to work on. I had healing I had to do. But in that relationship, there wasn't that belonged to me. We feel so alone. We feel so crazy. Those are my 2 mantras in this community. Alita, you're 28 years. Oh, wait, I am 28 years out and still learning. Girl, I know it's never ending. 2 of my mantras that I have on this page and in this space is that you are not alone and you are not crazy. It's amazing how consistent those feelings are between all of us when we get out or when we're in it. It's amazing how consistent those 2 statements are. I'm alone and I feel crazy. Oh God, does anybody have any recommendations for a winter cold? Um, I could go on for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours speaking just on those 2 topics, feeling alone and feeling crazy. We're gonna have to do another coffee with Unbreakable and just talk about those 2 topics. a lot to process. I am sure I've given a lot of y'all a lot to process, but it's good to process. Oh, it feels so good to process. It feels so good to process, especially now, 6 years out. It feels good to process and identify that I'm not as emotional when I do it, right? I hated crying. Oh, God. I had a plan to take my life. I almost went through with it. Thank God I did it. But it's empowering to process now. It's powerful to look back and see the transformation. I was on a trip a couple years ago, 2022, I think. And I'm in the US, I'm in Texas. And I took my very, 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 very first trip out of this country. Busted my butt for that trip. And I went to Italy. And I think I made a video about it back in 2022. So I went all by myself, just me. And because it was my first time out of the country and I was traveling by myself, I went with one of those tour things, Cosmos, giving Cosmos a shout out. And we traveled around from city to city on a big, comfortable bus. But there was, quite a few times where we traveled for a couple hours. And I was sitting on the bus by myself, looking out the window at the Italian countryside. Actually, no, I posted that video on my personal page. I was looking out the window, watching the Italian countryside go by, and I sobbed. I just sobbed quietly because I didn't want anyone to think what's wrong with her, but I just cried silently. And at that time, 2022, was thinking what made me cry was that, just a few short years ago, I was ready to take my own life. And yet there I was, little old me, big girl traveling all by herself in a whole nother country through the Italian countryside. Celebrate your victories, no matter how big and no matter how small they are. Celebrate those victories. I celebrate a victory. I did a video on it. I celebrate a victory every single morning when I make my coffee. Every single morning, I am conscious and I celebrate because I used to get yelled at and cursed out for how I made my coffee. Oh, we need to do a whole series on the most ridiculous things that they used to get mad at us for, right? I used to get in trouble for how I made my coffee. And so now, every morning, I celebrate the fact that I make my coffee exactly how I damn well want to. And nobody is going to say anything to me about it. Celebrate your victories, big and small. Celebrate every victory, big and small. This is going to sound weird, but I celebrate victories every month when I pay my bills. I don't like paying bills, but I love paying my bills because I was told you'll never survive without me. Everything you have is because of me. The reality is that I made nearly double what he did when I was in that relationship, but I suffered financial abuse as well. Another story. I celebrate every month when I pay my bills because you told me I couldn't do it. You told me I'd never survive. I left that relationship with a full-time job, and now I have a full-time job and I have 6 successful businesses. F you. I celebrate every month when I pay my bills. Your victories don't have to be these grand gestures or grand accomplishments. Recognize even the smallest victories that you have every single day. Y'all hear my cat? I think we're about done here. Celebrate your victories every day. Give yourself grace. Be gentle. Good God, please be gentle with yourself. You've suffered enough. You deserve peace. You deserve joy. You deserve to be valued and respected and heard and seen for no other reason than you are a human being walking the face of this earth. Celebrate your victories, even the smallest ones of making your coffee every morning. You deserve it. Karen said, focus on yourself. You've done enough for the ungrateful. I love that saying. Karen, spot on. Oh, there's some cats are getting ready to rumble. There it is. Hey. All right, I need to go break up a cat fight. Let's do coffee with Unbreakable more often. I think I'm going to do that more often. Y'all keep this communication going. Keep talking. Keep supporting each other. If you want to share your story, if you want to chat with Unbreakable, if you want to, and sharing your story can be on video, off video, audio, in writing. It can be any form that you feel comfortable with. And if you go out to my website, if you've seen any of the recent blogs that we've posted, you can also do so anonymously. You can do so anonymously. If you're not comfortable, and that's okay, if you're not comfortable with speaking, having your voice heard, or having your face seen, that's okay. Imagine what your words can do to shed light, to shine a light for someone else who's in that dark space. I love this page so much. I could literally sit here all day and just interact with y'all and talk with y'all. But somebody's got to go to work. Thank you, you guys, for hanging out with me this morning. At the end of the day, I don't do what I do here just for all of y'all. I do what I do here for myself. Go back and watch my videos. This is my healing journey. This is all part of my healing too. You are enough right now, right this very moment, exactly as you are. You are not alone, and you sure as are not crazy. We'll chat soon. Y'all go be unbreakable.